Hi guys, and welcome back to Mulberry Branch Farm. Today we're going to be pulling Raven in because we are a week away from babies.
I just want to pet her.
You can pet her. Alright, so we got Raven in here. Now it's time to go ahead, get her udder shaved. We're going to be shaving her lady bits for sanitary purposes. We're going to be giving her a hoof trim, selenium, a Nutri-Drench, just anything that we can think to really get her ready for birth. And I think I did spy some lice on her as I was walking her in, which is not uncommon this time of year, which really isn't all that uncommon. With warmer weather, you just get an influx in parasites, flies, any type of insect for that reason. If it's creepy and crawly, the warm weather is going to wake it up and make sure that it comes out and wreaks a little bit of havoc. So we're going to go ahead and treat her for that. I hope you guys stick around with us, and at the end I'm hoping that we'll go over some signs of labor that I can probably expect from Miss Raven. You not believe me? She is so uncomfortable, guys. She is so uncomfortable. She's ready for them. You ready to get rid of them, Mama? Yeah, she's ready to get rid of them. So you might be asking yourself, why do you shave their udders? Well, there's a lot of different reasons. The big reason is for sanitation. Sometimes the hair on the udder, especially down towards the teat's orifice, can hold bacteria. So even though I won't be milking her right away, her kids will. When they are nursing from her, they'll take that natural plug out of the teat and it will leave it open for bacteria to go in and cause mastitis or some other type of infection. And we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to remove all the hair from around here and down around the teat, so for cleanliness, to keep bacteria away. The second reason is that I think it's easier for the kid to actually find the teat after birth when it's shaved. The texture is different. I feel like it helps them to build like a muscle memory of where the udder is, besides the whole being able to smell the milk. But I've always found it between my shaved udders on does or my does that sported maybe a hairier udder, it just seemed like the kids had a harder time kind of navigating at first until they caught on. The third reason is because when I go to milk her later on, the hair is going to hold debris, bacteria, feces, all kinds of things like that. And when I'm milking and manipulating her udder, those will fall down into the milk because I milk by hand as of right now. So that we'll shave that hair so that when we do milk her, we don't have to really worry about that too much when it comes to debris falling into the milk. Here's a before. You can see she's got a hairy upper part of her udder. Let's see what she looks like after. If it's your first time doing this, don't be surprised if your doe doesn't really appreciate what you're doing for her. So just hang in there. If you need to hobble, hobble her. But if you've got a partner or anything that can maybe hold a leg up or out, that's always good too. So let's go. You might notice too, as we go throughout, that I did shave her lady bits. And the reason that I shaved her lady parts is all birth is messy. And there's a lot of fluid and a lot of blood, and it just makes it easier for us to clean up after her. That way, no flies are drawn directly to her. We're in May, and while it is a little bit of a cooler part of the year, this time next week, we're supposed to be in the 80s. The high is 50 today. And the cleaner we can be around this time of year, guys, the better. Well, it's a little bit of a cooler spot here in May for us here in Indiana. The high today was only 56. The high this time next week is supposed to be close to 90. So with that heat, we expect to have a lot more flies in our barn. And even though I do fly traps and my chickens go through and hopefully pick through the fly larvae that are in the goat droppings when they free range, I don't want to have to draw any parasite to her. Her body's always already going to be in a stress state. She'll have exerted a lot of energy in birthing her babies, and then the rest of her energy should be going into raising, providing milk, nursing her kids. So I'm going to give her the best shot that I can. But I also did notice too that I've got lice in my herd. While I didn't observe this in my herd last week, I've noticed it this week. And it's just because it's warmer, guys. So we're going to go ahead and treat her for that. We're going to trim her hooves. I'm going to give her some selenium and vitamin E because we are deficient. She's been getting it regular all the way up until now, but I always like to give it about 2 weeks to a week before my doe's kid. I am a little bit behind. I would rather have done this 2 weeks out, but life happens. I'm also going to give her a Nutri-Drench just to kind of help her body boot up, because in this last week, actually the last 2 weeks, it's amazing how much her kids grow inside of her. So they're drawing a lot of nutrients away from her, so I want to try to give it back in this supplement. And you guys will find too that I'm going to start separating her at night. Now, I think it's healthy for them to be in with the herd, especially here in the springtime. I don't really have to worry too much about the elements. So in the daytime, she'll be out with the herd, but at nighttime, I'm going to go ahead and keep her secluded. And that will be when I also feed her, so that she won't be competing with the other does for nutrients. While most of my animals right now are on pasture because I have pasture, and my milking does and my pregnant does do go on grain rations. So my milkers get it in the morning when I milk them, then they're out on pasture. She's getting it once a day too, but sometimes it's a little hard to fend off the other 20 goats that are out here. So this will make it a little bit easier on her too. She'll be able to have her food, water, nutrients in silence with no stress. So let's go ahead, let's treat her for lice, get her hooves done, and get her in her birthing suite. So you guys saw that. She didn't like her selenium or vitamin E supplement, but nobody really likes to have medicine given to them. And most of the time it doesn't taste all that good, although it's going to do a lot of good for her and her babies, especially since we're deficient in the area. So hopefully, I know you don't like it, honey. I know you don't like it. She's one of my more nervous does. She's at the bottom of the pack for sure. So I do worry about her nutrition. We did go ahead and give her hooves a little bit of a trim. The reason that we give them a trim is she's carrying a lot of extra weight, and we're just going to try to keep her as comfortable. Now, I've kept up on her hooves. I hardly had to cut any of them. And we really try not to nick them because we don't want to give them any more of a reason to waddle around than she's already got. But I think that's going to do it on Raven. We're going to go ahead and get her into her birthing stall, let her have some food if she'd like, and we'll probably go over some of the different things that I'll be watching out for here in Raven's journey to her due date. Hi, Raven. Are you going to have him soon? All right, so we've got Raven in her stall now. Joe just gave her some food. She's got hay, water, clean bedding, and you guys will see up there, back here, right there, we do have a heat lamp in there, and it's only because Mother Nature and I have been having a love-hate relationship, whereas usually we range in the 70s here in East Central Indiana in May. We've had highs all week in the 40s, lows in the 30s, and it's going to warm up, start a warming trend tomorrow with all thunderstorms for like 5 days straight. And then next week, we're supposed to have highs in the 80s, but in case Mother Nature becomes her fickle, fickle self, we have that in there because it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. So now what do we do? Well, it's a waiting game, guys. I did hand breed Raven, and for anybody who's not familiar with the term hand breed for goats, it's you're waiting for your doe to show signs that they're in a standing heat, which is when they will stand for a buck's advances and services. So once she exhibited those signs, I pulled a buck out of the pen. I let him breed her 3 times, and while she was standing, and I put him back in to the pen, which means I separated them. This just kind of helps me narrow down my due dates. Now, I know nature sometimes doesn't allow for us to have due dates, like Wolfie last year, sneaking in and impregnating like 9 does all at one time so that I didn't get any sleep for a week and a half in February. Now it's just a waiting game. I know her due date. Her due date is May 19th. Now today is May 12th, so she's a week away, but these guys can go into labor as early as at 140 days of gestation. So that means by like Thursday or Friday, she could be in active labor. So it's good to go ahead and get her in here. During the day, she will be out in the herd. Just because the weather's nice enough, even during the days with highs in the 50s, she could birth out there and be just fine. I do worry because she's a smaller doe, and I just worry about them passing through her pelvis, but I've seen smaller does do it, and it's totally fine, unassisted. Now, there are some signs that you might be able to look for labor. Raven is not a friendly goat. She is my loner. She doesn't like to be with the herd. She's completely fine being off by herself. She really doesn't like to be handled, but I have noticed in the last week that she's been coming up to me, and I think that's her hormones just starting to progress. So I think the biggest indicator for the onset of labor, active labor, where they're going to be getting down like in the next 24 hours and pushing, is really knowing your doe and what she's like personality-wise when everything is normal, fine, and calm. Because she's a loner and she usually doesn't like me, I'm expecting she might become a little bit more attached. She might want to be with the herd a little bit more. She's a very quiet goat. She might start to become very, very loud. Now, there are other signs that I've gone over in prior videos where we did exactly what we did with Raven today with a couple other does. If you guys are interested in that, that's going to be up here in the top. We did go over ligaments and how to check, and that's a probably the best indicator besides knowing your doe's personality, is when those ligaments are gone. She's really close. She's probably within 24 hours, if not less, of kidding. So I'm going to go ahead and let her settle in, but I just wanted to give you guys an update on where we're at on kidding with Raven. We have a week. That's going to consist of me coming out at night a lot, looking at her butt, touching her butt, looking at her udder, taking pictures of her rear end, because if I can get a picture Tuesday, I can get the picture up and look at what she looks like on Wednesday and see if she's progressing or if maybe her udder has really expanded, because that's another sign that they are really getting close. And I guess all my goats figured out I'm in here trying to make a video, not about them, but about Raven. So I think that's going to do it for us today, guys. I really appreciate you guys being here with me. I'm going to go ahead at the end. I'm going to put in our playlist for Kidding 101 and all the kidding that we've been doing since the beginning of 2020. So you guys stick around for that. If you found yourself liking this video, let me know that you liked it. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know what you do specifically for your does when they're approaching pregnancy. But until next time, guys, thanks so much. We appreciate you being here. Bye.